Hello, Lisa here. Welcome back to my channel and welcome to this unboxing walkthrough first impressions of the Matamorphoses du Jour Tarot by Taroko Studios. Oh my goodness, I'm really excited to have this deck in my hands. So I have another Taroko Studios deck, and that is the Revival Art Tarot, and I've really enjoyed the quality of this deck. So if you haven't seen a Taroko Studios deck before, this is the one I have. Now I do find that their cardstock does tend to bow with use, but that doesn't really bother me. What I do really love is the feeling of the cardstock. It's like thin and bendy, but the artwork is vivid. I've been really happy with the Revival Art Tarot. It is definitely a favorite of mine. And so I did not hesitate at all to spring for another Taroko Studios deck. I'm excited about the Matamorphoses du Jour Tarot because it features the artwork of J.J. Granville. I literally just had to stop this video for a second and check because I always want to say J.J. Abrams. I don't know why. I don't know why I always do that. In my Say Yes to the Deck where I talked about this, I literally kept calling him J.J. Abrams. I couldn't stop. I don't know what my problem is. He's like some sci-fi actor or something. I don't even know. But like that name is what stuck in my head. But J.J. Granville is the artwork that you will see depicted throughout this deck. Now, this really excited me because I was really attracted to the Fantastic Menagerie Tarot, except there was a thing there about card choices and there were some things there about budget. And while you can watch me go through my whole experience talking myself through this process and talking Peggy through this process in my last Say Yes to the Deck, which I will try to remember to link in the cards or in the description box down below. But if not, it's pretty easy to find on my channel. But in any case, I ended up deciding on this one because I had watched a side-by-side walkthrough and I really enjoyed the take on the cards. So this comes in a standard tuck box, which I'm not the biggest fan of, but it is not the like worst tuck box ever. I tend to take these tuck boxes, in case you're curious, and I just very carefully pop them open and fold them flat. And these get stored in case I ever decide to rehome the deck. I'll have the box in really good condition. So I just fold them flat just like that and put them away. And of course I already have a Peggy bag for this deck that I think really beautifully matches the design on the back of the cards. Peggy actually found it, but the patterning here on this particular fabric is quite similar to the design that's happening in the background of the cards. So, and you can kind of see that design maybe a bit better here on the box. It's a slightly different shade, very similar feel. So I'm pretty excited about that. So yeah, that is the bag that she made me for this deck already. So that's what I'm going to be doing. This is going to go away because no, with tuck boxes, just no. But let's talk for a second about the cardstock. So as you can see, mine almost already has, and just for comparison, let's pull out the Revival Art so you can really see. Because I think mine already has like a little bit of that bow. Like you can see it here in the Revival Art. And yeah, you can kind of see it's not quite so noticeable in this. I'm assuming that after I shuffle it will take on a little bit more of this bow. Now that does not bother me, but I could see for some people it maybe would bother you. And keep in mind that I do store my decks in bags, which if you do store your decks in bags and not in their boxes, sometimes you can see this happening as well. But this is really the only deck that it just like right out of the gate, it just like I noticed it right away. My Baba Studios decks actually do something kind of similar. But anyway, so cardstock wise, I would say it's thin and flexible. It probably feels like a 330 GSM. There's something about it though that just feels really luscious. I don't know how to describe it because I'm not always the biggest fan of thinner cardstock, but it just feels nice. And size wise, let's see, compared to the okay, so it's exactly the same as the Revival Art Tarot. And let me just grab a standard tarot deck. I always end up grabbing my Crystal Unicorn because it's like easily within reach, but let me just grab one of these cards and let's just compare because I think it's a little bit bigger. Yeah, it is a little bit bigger. So this is a standard tarot and the Revival Art and the Matamorphoses du Jour are both a little bit bigger. You can see that there. So easily, I would say a few millimeters on either side, both width and height. But I actually really like this size, so I'm not mad at it. Put the Crystal Unicorn away till she's needed again for size comparison. There is a border on these cards, whereas the Revival Art Tarot, the artwork was pretty borderless. Like it still had like this thin border, and the second edition is a little different on the Revival Art. but I do really enjoy the way that this particular border sort of frames the cards. So this is what the backings look like. We have this like sort of little four-way scene, I guess. I think it's the same. Yeah, it's the same in upright and reverse. So basically these are a reversible card back, which is great if you are somebody who does work with card reversals. All right, so with that said, let's zoom in and take a little tour through the cards themselves. Now, I have not been a longtime follower of JJ Granville's work, but I really just wanted something that had this look and feel to it, but that also I felt was really readable from a Rider-Waite-Smith standpoint. And so far, from what I've seen, I remembered it being pretty readable. Here we have our Fool character, and this guy looks like it might be, I don't know what kind of creature that is. If you know, I would be super delighted if you would share. You'll probably see in the viewfinder or on your screen better than I can see in real life. But I love his garb here. I love that he's literally about to walk over a cliff here. Our magician, this character reminds me of Winnie the Pooh every time I see him. And he's not Winnie the Pooh, right? But he does kind of have that, I don't know, there's a whimsy about him for sure. I love that there's this serpent like coiling its way around his wizard's hat. I love that he's waving his magic wand. He seems very magician-y to me. And our high priestess has her back to us. She looks really mysterious. She's got an open book right here. It actually says the Bible on it, I believe, which is really interesting. I didn't notice this till I got this up close. I do think it's interesting. She does have that sort of veil wrapped around her shoulders and down her back, so you get this feeling of secrets for sure. My dog is literally next to me on the bed, having an absolute moment, just flailing around. Anyways. Here's our Empress. I love her. She's so regal, and I love that she's got these two younger ones kind of coming up to tug on her skirts and ask her something. I really do like the sort of Victorian feel. I feel like Victorian feel. I mean, I'm not any kind of a historian, so, you know, somebody feel free to call me on that. But yeah. Oh, I love this emperor. I love that he's actually a lion. I love that he's actually like emperoring. You know, he looks like he's in the process of acting as emperor over something, over some situation. It's interesting what's happening here. We have somebody kind of cowering before him, so that's interesting. And it looks like this is the messenger. You almost get this like don't shoot the messenger kind of vibe from this card, which is super interesting to me. The Hierophant. I love this. Everybody's crowded around, clearly there to hear what this particular character has to say. I love that it's a penguin. That's cracking me up. The Lovers. I love these two. They're like two little owls, and you get that masculine, feminine vibe, which I personally really enjoy in a lover's card. Sometimes I love seeing different mixes, but when it comes to animals, it's kind of fun to see, or this, I guess, anthropomorphic style of art, it's kind of fun to see this kind of a take where you can clearly see a dichotomy in the energy of the two characters. The Chariot. This is cool because there's like mirrored scenes happening. So up here you have like one bird who's like running a chariot, and then down here you have like what's the same thing kind of happening maybe in like the crustacean world, because it looks like there's like a couple of sea snails or something, and then there's some like little crayfish and like somebody riding a little turtle. So it's kind of like you have the land and sea version of the same race, which is really interesting. The Strength card, and it is little mice who are mastering this kitty cat. Oops, kicked my light. The Hermit. I like this Hermit. You can tell, I love that he's carrying the lantern, and he definitely looks like he is like discovering knowledge. He's got his little journal here, or I picture it as his journal, I guess I should say. The Wheel of Fortune, literally running with the wheel here. I love that energy. It's just, it feels very fast moving and like caught up in the moment, which very much can be a thing when we're dealing with a Wheel of Fortune moment. Justice, and it looks like there's an actual trial happening here, so that's awesome. We have characters, we have what looks like a judge and maybe even like a jury. It looks like there's a frog that some negative thing has befallen it, and we're dealing with the aftermath now. The Hanged Man, literally dangling, and looks like it was a cat who just broke loose, and all these mice are running and scurrying away. Death. Oh, and actually this is a very death-like scene. So down here we have a bird who has passed, is under a little tree or something. And then up above we have this figure who seems to be sort of overseeing the process. It's interesting too, because in the back it looks like there's almost like a shooting star or some bright flare of light. I do enjoy seeing a little glimpse of light in the back of my death cards. Temperance. Looks like a moment of rest from the work. She's holding what looks like a duster, so it almost looks like the maid or somebody has taken a little breather. She's taken a little rest from her work, so she's keeping things in balance. Or she's even resting while she's dusting. It's really cute. The Devil. This looks like somebody who's literally on the side of the path there, just trying to lead people astray. Very interesting depiction. Oops, fumbling the card. Here we have the Tower. Oh, this does seem like a tower moment. The bunny has been caught by the wolf, and the wolf is getting ready to do bad things, so everything's kind of not going so well at the moment. And the Star. I love that she's gazing up at the star, and you definitely get the idea that she's trying to get her bearings again or find her way again. Then we have the Moon. This is beautiful. I love that she's like in her night dress or her night clothes, and she's got her little candlestick, like she's going to go, like almost as if she's going to go investigate something, like a bump in the night. So it really has that feeling of being in moonlight and the mystery and the sometimes the fear that can come about. The Sun. This is just sweet, with the bird brightly lit by the sunshine. Judgment. Oh, this is really interesting because it's like the fish are fishing for dragonflies. Or no, what is happening in this card? This one cracks me up. Okay, I'm going to cheat and take a look. Sometimes I like to do this, and we'll just see what the guidebook has to say. I'm super curious. It says, the Judgment Tarot card represents an essential moment, a time for choice where nothing will be the same from now on. Some traditions interpret it as the last judgment, where the soul is judged and distributed accordingly. Others present it as a card of transition and change, a choice, a future. Judgment advises you to embrace what you've done. There's no looking back, so do not try to cover up what you've done. The past will always remain the past, and the deeds you performed will always be with you. Now is a good time to come to terms with the things that you've done. Judgment is also the card of letting go, especially letting go of regret. There is nothing you can do to change the past, but you can change the future. You can also change how you perceive the past. Judgment can indicate a spiritual... I want to see if it talks about... Sorry, I'm just going to keep scrolling through here. I'm just curious if it talks about the artwork. Because it kind of goes on. It goes into some detail about the meaning of judgment. But I don't get any reference here to, talks about judgment reversed. I'm not seeing anything here that actually specifically speaks to what's happening in this artwork. Super curious what your guys' take on it. My first thing was like, oh, they're fishing for dragonflies. But I see that that's actually the antenna from the, I think that's what you call them, from the crayfish or the lobster here. But they're all holding hands. It's almost like there's this like reckoning happening. And I think that's the energy we're supposed to take from this artwork. But that's really interesting. It's like they're all gathered around. And the dragonflies maybe representing the spirit realm. Super interesting. And the World. This is a great world card. Everything kind of circling around this central figure of what looks like a couple maybe. Really interesting. I keep saying it's interesting because I'm just taking it in. And that's how I often am with decks like this. What's really fascinating to me is the way that this is definitely pulling me into that storybook world. These illustrations to me look like the kind of illustrations I saw next to storybooks and fairy tale books growing up. Here we have the Ace of Swords, and there is definitely a, like, you get the idea that he just had a thought and he stood up to exclaim, right? Like, he's like, wait, I've just, I figured it out, or wait, I've got an idea. And that's kind of what an Ace of Swords moment is like, right? It's like we've just had an epiphany. The Two of Swords. Uh-oh. Definitely some either or decision making needing to happen here. I also think it's really interesting that there's like a dark and a light goat in the background in that image. Oh. And in the foreground. So it's like a dark and a light goat on the pasture in the photo trying to like cross a bridge, and they're kind of facing each other. And then you almost have the same sort of, I want to say like standoff kind of energy happening here. And these are also goat figures, like goat people. That's super fun. The Three of Swords. The Four of Swords. A sense of rest. I want to go back to the Three of Swords for a second. She looks like she's mending. Like she's mending clothing. Which is an interesting take on the Three of Swords. I kind of tend to see the Three of Swords as like learning lessons. So there's this... Shayla. There's a sense of repair happening here, which is really interesting. Like healing and repair. Anyways, Four of Swords. Getting a moment away from all of the tumultuousness. Ooh, these two look like they're bickering. The Five of Swords. The Six of Swords. Definitely getting that shepherding or being ushered away. What's the word I'm looking for? Ferried away. The Seven of Swords. I love that the Seven of Swords is a fox who's up to no good here. And that's like a hen, so it's almost like the foxes in the hen house. Very interesting. In the Eight of Swords, we have a figure who's in jail, bound by chain here, but it looks like there might be somebody or something just out the window maybe to help them if they just pay attention to who's out there. Maybe they're there to help rescue them or lock them out, unlock them out, escape them. Why can't I find my verbs? Escape them? What is wrong with me? Help them escape. Wow. Anyways, Nine of Swords. So she's a little lamb and she's confessing and there's a wolf on the other side. So there's definitely an element of like a worst nightmare happening there. And the Ten of Swords. He's been captured. Again, we get that same kind of wolfy figure. Here's our Page of Swords. Our Knight of Swords. Queen of Swords. She's like a mantis. And King of Swords. Then we're into the wands. We have the Ace of Wands. It's very flamboyant. It's a cockatoo, which is very appropriate for wands. Our Two of Wands is considering what next on the adventure. Three of Wands. I like that they're all looking out. It's almost like a group trip or something that they're all doing together. So there's definitely this element of teamwork happening here, which is cool. Not in that collaborative way, more like everybody's looking in the same direction at the same time and what could that mean kind of way. The Four of Wands. Looks like we are at a special event celebrating a milestone. The Five of Wands. Ooh, okay, so it's like there's a cat here, there's a cat in the window. So you get that sort of, there's another cat prowling around over that rooftop. Oh, and one just got shoved off the roof. It looks like it is falling down or has just jumped down. You definitely get this idea of sort of like vying for dominance in this area. The Six of Wands, he is definitely being celebrated by his kin there. Seven of Wands. He's got a very big rifle, and there's another guy up there way up high who has a rifle. The Eight of Wands, the little messenger going very fast. This is a meaning of the Eight of Wands that I think we often miss. It's something that I learned from the Deviant Moon Tarot. There is the fast-moving energy we're used to seeing, but there is an element of the messenger to the Eight of Wands, which I think that messages are coming for us, right, or coming to us. And I think this is a really great reminder of that meaning. The Nine of Wands. Holding our ground in front of this fence here. And the Ten of Wands. He does look tired. He is like tired of carting these people around. Here we have our Page of Wands. And he is coming. He's got his little top hat. He's coming knocking. Knight of Wands. Ready for battle. Queen of Wands. She's very Queen of Wands. She looks like a lioness. And she's got her rifle there. She is not to be trifled with. She's also carrying a whip. And our King of Wands, who seems very charismatic and leadery. And now we're into the coins. So we have our Ace of Coins. There is like an offer or something being delivered. So you get this idea of an invitation or an opportunity. Then you have the Two of Coins. I love this one. I love how she's balancing on like a tightrope over a candle flame, which will clearly, and the tightrope is like a vine. So that candle flame will definitely burn through that thin spot on the tight wire. But I've always enjoyed the tight wire or, yeah, I guess tight wire type depictions in Two of Coins. I'm sure I've seen it in other decks. I just can't remember off the top of my head which ones. The Three of Coins. Here there is somebody who is working, doing work. The Four of Coins. I love this too because he seems like somebody who has plenty, has enough, but he's still holding tightly to his resources, which I think is a really cool depiction of the Four of Coins. The Five of Coins. There's an element of not having enough, of maybe he was about to steal some bread, it looks like, or something like that. Yeah, he's stealing some bread for his family because he doesn't have enough, which is a really interesting take again on the Five of Coins. The Six of Coins. the idea of sharing among each other. It looks like maybe that's what's going on. The 7 of coins and sort of weighing out the harvest from the garden, things that have been collected. This totally reminds me of Peter Rabbit for some reason, this little scene. The 8 of coins. Oh, he's like drilling. He's really quite hard at work. That looks like a corkscrew he's playing with though, so that's kind of an interesting take. The 9 of coins. This is very 9 of coins to me. She's very much in her garden, enjoying her wealth. And the 10 of coins. Portrait on the wall. Definitely somebody who has worked their way to a place of stability for sure. Our Knight of Coins. Oh, I just realized that was out of order. There we go. Page of Coins. There we have it. Then we have our Knight of Coins, who it does look slower moving, a little more steady. Queen of Coins. I love that she's like in this like gardeny setting. And King of Coins. And now we're into the cups. This is so interesting to me, this like door with all these like beetles all the way around it. It's like somebody's coming knocking and it's going to be special somehow. 2 of Cups. 3 of Cups. Love the celebratory, sort of everybody hanging out, having a nice time vibe here. The 4 of Cups. Literally there's a figure in the back like, hey, I've got something for you. And he's like, he's so focused in front of him that he's missing what's happening behind him. Very 4 of Cups. Ooh, the 5 of Cups. So that's typically where we see heartbreak and loss and sometimes holding on so much to the past that we're not moving into the future kind of thing. It's interesting here, this person is like taking their belongings and going. Perhaps there's some canvases there as if they're an artist who is, sorry, I'm trying to unstick the cards. They're not really sticking, but they're like not sliding. Anyway, here we have somebody who's clearly been kicked out or is having to leave for some reason. It almost has a bit of an 8 of Cups feel, so I'll be curious to see what the choice is for that card. We have the 6 of Cups. There's an element of play and dancing and reliving old times here. There's our 7 of Cups with all of the different things floating in the air. That idea of head in the clouds and trying to figure things out. He's got like a snake head. There's our 8 of Cups. Yeah, so this one looks very much like turning his back on where he's been and like forging a new path. The 9 of Cups looks so contented and happy and lots of wonderful things around him. And the 10 of Cups. Oh, they look so happy. Love that. Our Page of Cups. Knight of Cups. Queen of Cups. I love her, and I love that she's on the beach. Oops, and King of Cups. Cool. Okay, so let's get zoomed back out again, and let's give these guys a shuffle, and we'll pull a card. We'll take a closer look at the guidebook. Yeah, there's something about this cardstock. It feels thinner than I would normally like, but the cardstocks are also just a touch bigger than normal. So you need that flex for them to be good shufflers. You know what I mean? But they do shuffle really, really nicely. They're very, very smooth. I should probably give them a little bit more of a shuffle than that. And then we'll pull a sample card and we'll read the full entry from the guidebook and see what we think. The Queen of Wands. All right, so let's take a look at the guidebook. Now this is much chunkier. So in my Revival Art Tarot, the guidebook, just for reference, like you can see, is quite different. So here's my Revival Art guidebook. Here's the guidebook for the Matamorphoses du Jour. Revival Art, the font was like unreadably tiny, like really difficult to read. And I don't even know how many pages because there's no page numbers. But in the Matamorphoses du Jour, still no page numbers. There are little thumbnails and it's in full color, but there's little thumbnails of all the cards, which I think is fantastic. And while the font is small, there is a lot of information in here, and I feel like the information is helpful. So in the beginning, we have some information about the Matamorphoses du Jour. It talks a little bit about... So Jean-Ignace Isidore Girard, generally known by the pseudonym of Jean-Jacques or J.J. Granville, was a French caricaturist. The name Granville was grandparents' professional stage name. Was his grandparents' professional stage name. Granville received first instruction in drawing from his father, a painter of miniatures. The work which first established his fame was Les Matamorphoses du Jour, a series of 70 scenes in which individuals with the bodies of men and faces of animals are made to play a human comedy. These drawings are remarkable for their extraordinary skill with which human characteristics are represented in animal facial features. Though the designs of Granville are occasionally unnatural and absurd, they usually display keen analysis of character and marvelous inventive ingenuity, and his humor is always tempered and refined by delicacy of sentiment and a vein of sober thoughtfulness. Goes on from there. Talks a little bit about tarot. And then we get right into the card meanings. But you can see you get quite a bit of information for every card. So this is the Fool, and it goes from here all the way to there. And then we go into the Magician. And so you get about, I would say, easily about a page and a half for every major arcana card. And let's check out the minors, because we are into the Queen of Wands, and we'll read her entry. See, the minors get a pretty decent amount of information too. Like, that's the information from the 4, that's the information in the 5. Yeah, not bad. Let's find the Queen. There she is. Okay. In a general reading, the Queen of Wands signifies a bold outlook to life. You will need to take the bull by the horns and get going. The Queen of Wands is the card you get when you want to travel to the highest peak in the world, or if you want to do something daring and exciting. The Queen of Wands asks you to get your business in order. Make a list and check it twice. She's an innovator and a manager. She may represent an aspect of yourself or someone that you know. You could have an important meeting with your boss that needs to be addressed. If you have any issues or grievances, you should speak up. The Queen of Wands is the persona you need to invoke inside yourself when you need the power to confront someone or something at all odds. She will never be afraid to stand up and say the truth. The Queen of Wands can help you meditate about ways in which you can draw out your inner lioness and take control of your life or of a particular situation. It is kind of a small font, but it is way more readable than the Revival Art. The Queen of Wands is ambitious. She sets goals and wants to finish them. She may even time herself to see how she will fit everything into the day. She's an excellent multitasker and can function as the CEO of a boardroom with ease. She's the multitasker, the ambitious woman who doesn't let things get in her way. She's good at solving life's problems and issues, and with her optimism, she can turn any sour day into a bright opportunity for growth. She is a natural manager and good at motivating groups of people. She can be single or married. In a relationship, she doesn't like to be tied down completely. She needs her freedom. She also needs adventure. Outdoor activities like hiking or rock climbing would be ideal. She is attracted to men who are passionate and fiery like herself. Someone who stays in every night will bore her. In a love reading, the Queen of Wands indicates something that will happen rapidly. It also indicates for a woman that you are in charge of the relationship, and for a man, it indicates that she is in charge of the way the relationship will go. As advice, the Queen of Wands suggests organization and planning. It also suggests speaking your mind about a situation. If you're afraid to ask your boss for a raise, the Queen of Wands suggests that you just ask. Queen of Wands reversed. A negative aspect of the Queen of Wands is that she can be temperamental with explosive anger problems. She can be overly dramatic, which leads her to having very few friends. The Queen of Wands has a lot of energy, but reversed, she cannot channel this energy properly and leaves many projects unfinished. If she's in a relationship, then she is insanely jealous and won't allow her partner to have any female friends or any female business associates. Okay, so I will say that's kind of in my opinion, a little bit of an antiquated look at tarot meanings, but it's okay. I totally get where it's coming from. And there is a translation happening. I believe these cards ship from I forget. I'm not sure. I want to say it came from like Poland. I forget where Taroko Studios is based, so I'm not going to guess. I just did, but like I'm not going to keep guessing. So there is a bit of a translation thing happening, you can tell, but it's written very well. It is very traditional. The one thing that I'm bummed about, as I was with the Revival Art, is that the guidebook does not in any way address the specific image that we see or why it was chosen to represent that particular card. I do think the choices in this deck are really, really good. I'm really pleased with the scenes. And when I compared this, as I said, to the Baba Studios deck, the Fantastic Menagerie, I just found that the choices here aligned with me better. And I will also admit that while I'm really interested in this artwork and I'm really interested and excited to have this. I wasn't excited enough to pay a Baba Studios price, and their decks are stunning. If you are already somebody that you know you love and adore JJ Granville's work, you may want to take a look at that deck while there's still some available, but because their production quality is outstanding. But I think Taroko Studios does do a really nice job for the price that you pay for sure. I feel like the quality of the cardstock's really good. I really like their choices, and I have not been unhappy with my Taroko Studios deck in the past, which is the Revival Art, as I mentioned. I'm really excited to have this and to get to know it. It does have a very whimsical, kind of playful, humorous feel. I'm not yet sure how it will read. I'll need to really put it through its paces to find out. But for now, let's give it a fan and see how it does. Let's get the Peggy bag out of the way and the book out of the way. All right. Not bad for matte. It's a little bit sticky in spots, but I can deal. Let's just spread it out a little. Look at that. Not bad, not bad. So that, my friends, is the Matamorphoses du Jour Tarot by Taroko Studios, featuring artwork by JJ Granville. I'm super excited to hear what you guys think about this deck down below, and especially interested to hear from those of you who maybe have the Fantastic Menagerie, or have this and the Fantastic Menagerie, or have looked at them both, or what have you. I would love to hear other people's thoughts on that, because I'm super curious. I just really enjoyed the choices here. So that's really what kind of got me off the fence for JJ Granville's artwork in the first place. But I'm really excited to hear what you guys think. So as always, please do leave a comment down below and let me know your thoughts. And don't forget to like this video if you enjoyed this flip through, walkthrough, or you found value in it. Don't forget to subscribe if you're new here, and click the little notification bell so you're notified of all my future videos. Thank you so, so much, and may your magic always shine from the inside out. Bye, guys.